Even though the Saints Row reboot was a massive disappointment, many of us were still hopeful that in a few years what was left of Volition, who was recently moved under the umbrella of Gearbox, would get back on track and make something better than the garbage we received in 2022. But it looks like the Saints Row reboot killed Volition because after 30 years in business, they are shutting down effective immediately. I have a few different things that I want to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content that I create, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media so you can see when my content is posted, and of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and live streams I create, consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon or a supporter via YouTube memberships. So this news only just recently broke. It says the Volition team has proudly created world-class entertainment for fans around the globe for 30 years. We've been driven by a passion for our community and always worked to deliver joy, surprise, and delight. This past June, Embracer Group announced a restructuring program to strengthen Embracer and maintain its position as a leader in the video game industry. As part of that program, they evaluated strategic and operational goals and made the difficult decision to close Volition effective immediately. To help our team, we are working to provide job assistance and help smooth the transition for our Volition family members. We thank our customers and fans around the world for all of the love and support over the years. You will always be in our hearts. Now, we knew after the Saints Row reboot release last year, Volition was not in a good place, right? We heard that it was a disappointing launch. That's what the Embracer CEO said, and they just sounded like they, didn't really have a lot of hopes for the future when it came to the game specifically, just because they were promising that they were going to release the DLC, and they have, so I will give them some kind of credit there. They didn't just up and abandon it. But the last DLC released only a few weeks ago, and now they are announcing that this is it is over. And I don't like celebrating people losing their jobs because I'm sure that there were people that were part of this studio and project that simply wanted to make a very good game, but I can't really feel that bad for them after they disregarded what fans wanted and antagonized us. I mean, their community manager called us terrorists for criticizing their half-assed product. If this was right after Saints Row 3 or even 4, I'd feel so sad because I have had so much love and nostalgia for this franchise and for Volition in general over the years, but those aren't the days of Volition anymore. They went into this Saints Row reboot and truly decided that they wanted to reimagine themselves, change their image completely. They no longer wanted to create the game that was the Grand Theft Auto little bro. They didn't want to do that anymore, even though, their franchise was known for that, and it was not known for that for negative reasons. People, again, really loved Saints Row going back years and years, but unfortunately, they decided to do everything different with this title, and even now, a year after launch, we see them getting absolutely roasted and memed on. I just did a previous video on how the Saints Row reboot is headed to PlayStation Plus for the month of September 2023. They decided that that was going to be their big headliner for the month, and, well, we all kind of assumed it was to continue to try to recoup costs. We know that this game had about $100 to $120 million budget. And when you've got the Embracer CEO saying it was a disappointing launch, it just seemed like they didn't make as much money as they were expecting, and they needed to continue to make money. And that's why they shoved it onto PlayStation Plus. They probably got a handful of money up front, or of course they were getting a cut of each download. But now it just looks like they figured, what the hell, we might as well. We're not going to do anything else with Saints Row, at least for the foreseeable future. I do not see Embracer giving up this franchise in totality, but I do think it is going to be a while until we see a potential new game, because keep in mind, Volition has already had a pretty rocky past. I talked about this when it had broke in November, but we had found out that Volition was going to become part of Gearbox after the critical reception to the Saints Row reboot, but it was important to point out that they specifically said going forward, Volition will transition to become part of Gearbox, which has all of the tools, including an experienced management team in the US, to create future success at Volition. Note that this does not mean that Volition is closing down or that its staff are being absorbed by Gearbox. So it also says, we didn't really know at that point what was going to happen, but they said the Saints Row reboot was published by another of Embracer's subsidiaries, PlayOn, but control of the franchise in the Volition studio is what is being transferred. So now Gearbox has control of Volition Studios, which is going away effective immediately, and also control of the franchise. So Gearbox in a couple of years may say, you know what, we are going to make a Saints Row game, and maybe it'll be better than this reboot, because everybody really did hate this reboot. And I mean, again, it is sad. If this was after Saints Row 3 or Saints Row 4, I would be sad. But I can't really feel bad for all of these people who made a game and specifically went into it saying, let's do everything differently. I mean, from the very start, from the first announcement we got of this title, we knew it was probably going to be a mess, because they had confirmed that it would ditch the series' wacky and risky identity in favor of doing something contemporary. I mean, the whole plot of this game was you had characters who had to pay off student debt. That is why they had to go and rob people and be criminals. I mean, that is a sad excuse for a title. I'm sure that there was some way that they could have done it that would have been half decent if they really played up the wacky and the funny like previous games did, but they just didn't do that. And I mean, this title had some of the worst user and critic scores I've seen in a while. I mean, a 61 critic, which isn't too terrible, but then you get to the audience, which is a 2.9, and that is just on one platform. There is a platform that goes up to a 3. There's some that go down to a 2.5, but in general, the user scores for this game have been abysmal since the start. And of course, this has been posted all over social media now, and people have taken to Twitter/X to voice how they're feeling about the situation. I know I personally had posted their press release. It's got almost 100 likes, and people are saying things like, I don't feel sorry for them at this point. They had a chance to fix everything when the initial trailer came out. If they had just listened to fans and made the game a serious, gritty gang simulator, it would have been successful. But instead, they doubled down and outright called original fans terrorists. Yeah, that was a very bad situation for them, a very bad stain on their legacy. The community manager coming out and just straight up attacking anybody who criticized this title definitely is not a good look for them. But it is true, when the initial trailer came out, they could have decided at that point, you know what, it is getting completely destroyed online. Let's rethink this. Maybe we can tweak the game a little, bring it, closer to what fans are expecting. But they did not do that. They doubled and tripled down, and this is the product that we got. They don't respect their fans, so I don't care. Yep, F them. This seems to be a trend with a lot of gaming devs/companies. It is sad at the end of the day for a lot of people. Lots of love and nostalgia surrounding the Saints Row franchise, but unfortunately, we were not going to get a better game anytime soon. This is the title that they decided, you know what, we're going to go with this, and people are going to love it, and people absolutely hated it. It did not work out well for them, and maybe in a few years we'll see another Saints Row title, but it does look like the Saints Row reboot of 2022 killed Volition Studios. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this and of course found it important and informative, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.